Alright, here's a little demonstration of my current pedal board setup. This is what I've been using for the last month or two of gigs now that I'm back with my cover band, so it's got kind of a little bit of redundancy going on, but I'll kind of show you what I do here. The first thing is we're playing through my trusty deluxe reverb, Solarface 1971, and I'm using my Sir Classic Strat, which has a humbucker in the bridge, and it just ends up being a little bit more of a utility instrument for these kinds of gigs where I have to cover a lot of different styles. So coming into the pedal board, the very first thing, actually, here's the clean sound. The amp's on 3, no reverb. That's basically just straight into the amp, and the bass is on about 5.5 and the treble's on 5. There's the next sound on the guitar. And a couple of others. So the amp by itself sounds pretty good. I'm not always even able to play it quite that loud on some of these gigs, so you're going to see kind of what I do. Now, for the pedal board, first thing I go into is the wah, just because it's a little bit easier to do it this way. It's just a full tone wah pedal, real standard. It's like a Clyde McCoy kind of sounding deal. Yeah, very, very simple. It doesn't have all the adjustments the other ones do. From there, I go into a tuner pedal. Usually I put the tuner pedal first. In this case, just to make life and the setup easier, I stuck it there. It doesn't really matter. It's a Sonic Research turbo tuner. I like it because for the Sir guitars, it's got the buzz feet and intonation I can set up and whatnot. So that's the first deal there. Then after that, we go into this BB preamp. Now, one thing that I do have to say is that a lot of times on these gigs, the amp is just not cranked up enough to really get the sound that I want. So I'll use this RC booster here just kind of as catch-up. You know, without getting much louder, it actually makes the amp sound like it's cranked up a little bit. So I generally tend to work most of my sound with that metal, you know, pretty much in mind. All right, it's got a small amount of gain, a little bit of bass. You know, I just generally tend to mess with it a little bit when I get to the gig, just to see what sounds best in the room. But that's kind of my basic starting clean sound for a lot of this stuff. If I want, I can just put my volume back about a notch or two. I get a nice big fat clean versus this. And I just kind of bump the volume here with my foot. My only real complaint about this pedal is I'm always changing the knob settings with my foot. All right, so then if I want to push the amp a little harder, I can switch to the bridge, get that kind of thing. Not clean, but not quite dirty. But that's kind of my starting point. I can clean it up with the volume knob if I need to, and still be kind of a little fatter than the clean sound of the amp, which is what I like. For a kind of like a tube screamery, not super distorted overdrive, I'll use this BB preamp. It's okay. I'm not in love with it anymore. I just haven't found anything I like better, and I hate tube screamers. So if I roll the volume back, I get just another little texture of overdrive. Push it a little harder. So that's that. If I take the RC booster off, you get a kind of taste. To me, it's just not doing a whole lot. If I was able to crank the amp a whole lot, it'd be a lot easier to get sounds I like. But because I'm playing a lot of lower volume gigs, this ends up being a little bit more practical for me. So that's the first one. All right. The Barber SS Direct Drive here, that's kind of my heavier distortion. vibe from it without the RC booster. Alright, so that's pretty much that deal. It's kind of funny because as the night goes on, I tend to use that a little bit more than the other one, you know, as things get a little bit more aggressive sounding. So that's that. The EP booster is the newest thing I've got here. Just a one knob boost. It's clean. It's not super transparent, but I kind of like what it does. It makes everything a little bit more present, as well as it's got a huge amount of loudness. But it kind of makes everything a little smoother too. It's got a few internal dip switches. I really haven't. I messed with them, didn't like them, and then put it back to the factory setting. If I want to, it's got like 20 dB of boost, so. If you wanted to, that's way too loud for my needs. But you know, just as a boost on top of everything else. It's kind of cool if I'm, you know. Yeah, it gives me a nice push over the top of everything else if I'm using my. So that's kind of how I'm using these pedals right now, and honestly, as the night goes on, a lot of what I'm doing with the pedals kind of changes depending on how much gain I need and how much volume. It's a lot of the gigs I play are multiple sets, and by the end of the night, that's a lot more volume than the beginning of the night. So you know, it just depends on where I'm at. As far as the rest of the stuff, the MXR, the Custom Shop Phase 90. I'll use it to kind of, you know, give myself a washy sound if I need to fake a keyboard kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, I can do stuff like that if I needed to. It just is kind of nice to have that. There. The chorus, it's the world's simplest chorus pedal. It's very 80s sounding, but it's not mushy. I don't. If I wanted to get all, you know. And I'm out of tune. Anyway, so that's the deal with that. The Eventide delay, I bought it with the intention of doing a lot more with it than I currently am. Right now I've got a long delay. I've got a Leslie speaker simulation that I really like, which I really dig that sound. To me, that's worth the price of the unit alone. I've got this auxiliary pedal. It allows me to go up and down banks. I got my slab back. You know, and other than that, I don't really use it a whole lot at the moment. So, you know, that's a little bit of overkill, but I really like how it sounds. And that's pretty much where I'm at with this right now. Although pretty soon it's going to end up being a kind of a different deal in terms of where the pedals go, and I kind of would like to add a few things.